Charge Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Gandhi Founder Charya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Namaskar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan Ki
Jai.
Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam Ki
Jai.
Jai Gaura Pimanam
Hare Hare.
all that is to be assembled in
Hare
the peace,
Krishna.
all that is to be assembled in
Hare
the peace, all that is to be assembled in the
Hare
peace, all that is to Sri Guru to Sri Gauranga, all that is to Sri Guru. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Taksuranmiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jita Padakamanam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Saivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Shakanditam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Ram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad-Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Pranam Brahma Samhitam Kamashloke Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasaya Namaha. This Srimad-Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all the literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
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 Kam karoti vataram bhagom langayate girim yadripat mahabande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yadripat mahabande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We continue reading from second canto, third chapter, entitled Pure Devotional Service. And today we are at text number 19. Yeah, yesterday we read 2 actually. Okay, text 19. 2, 3, 19. Swa Vid
Vid
Varahostra
Varahostra
Karai
Karai
Samstutaha
Samstutaha
Purushaha
Purusaha
Pashuhu
Pasuhu
Na
Na
Yat
Yat
Karna
Karna
Pato Peto
Pato Peto
Jatu
Jatu
Nama
Nama
Gadagrajaha
Gadagrajaha
Savid Virahostra Karai
Swavidvaro Varahostra Karai
Samstuta Purusha Pashuhu
Samstuta Purusa Pasuhu
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Ayat Karna Pato Peto
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha
Savid Varahostra Karai
Swavidvara Hostra Karai
Samstuta Purusha Pashuhu
Samstuta Purusa Pasuhu
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha
Swavid Varahostra Karai
Swavidvara Karai
Samstuta Purusha Pashuhu
Samstuta Purusa Pasuhu
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha Swavidvara Hostra Karai
Savid Varahostra Karai
Samstuta Purusa Pasuhu
Samstuta Purusha Pashuhu
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha
Savidvarahostra Karai
Swavidvara Hostra Karai
Samskrita Purusha Pashu
Samstuta Purusa Pasuhu
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Jatu Nama Gadagraja
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha
Savidvarahostra Karai
Swavidvara Hostra Karai
Samskrita Purusha Pashu
Samstuta Purusa Pasuhu
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Nayat Karna Pato Peto
Jatu Nama Gadagraja
Jatu Nama Gadagrajaha
Swa
Swa
A dog
Dog
Vitvaraha
Vitvaraha
the village hog
The village hog
who eats stool
who eats stool
Ustra
Ustra
the camel
the camel
Karai
Karai
and by the asses
and by the asses
Samstutaha
Samstutaha
perfectly praised
perfectly praised
Purushaha
Purusaha
a person
person
Pashuhu
Pasuhu
animal
animal
Na never
never
yet
Yat
of him
of him
Karna
Karna
ear
ear
Patha
Patha
path
path
upetaha,
upitaha,
reached,
reach,
jatu,
jatu,
at any time,
at any time,
nama,
nama,
the holy name,
the holy name,
Gadagrajaha,
Grajaha,
Lord Krishna,
Lord Krishna,
the deliverer from all evil.
deliver from all evil.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
We have a little long purport this morning. Translation: the men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils. Kindly repeat after me. Men who are like dogs,
Men who like dog,
hogs,
hog,
camels,
camels,
and asses
and asses.
praise those men
Praise those men
who never listen
never listen
to the transcendental
to the
pastimes
transcendental pastime
of Lord Sri Krishna,
of Lord Sri Krishna,
the deliverer
the deliverer
from evils.
from evil.
Report. The general mass of people, unless they are trained systematically for a higher standard of life and spiritual values, are no better than animals. And in this verse, they have been particularly been put on the level of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Modern university education practically prepares one to acquire a doggish mentality with which to accept the service of a greater master. After finishing a so-called education, the so-called educated persons move like dogs from door with applications for some service. Firstly, they are driven away, unqualified, informed of no vacancy. As dogs are negligible animals and serve the master faithfully for bits of bread, a man serves the master faithfully without sufficient reward. In the purport of the 10th canto, 11th chapter, verse 37, Prabhupada is explaining the same principle that academic education, going to university actually is supposed to be academic education, is only for actually brahmanas. And Prabhupada explains what is the use of getting so-called modern education and simply increasing the number of the unemployed. Same point being made here. We continue the purport. Persons who have no discrimination in the matters of foodstuff and who eat all sorts of rubbish are compared to hogs. Hogs are very much attached to eating stools. So stool is a kind of foodstuff for a particular type of animal. And even stones are eatables for a particular type of animal or bird. But the human being is not meant for eating everything and anything. He is meant to eat grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, sugar, etc. Animal food is not meant for the human being. For chewing solid food, the human being has a particular type of teeth meant for cutting fruits and vegetables. The human being is endowed with two canine teeth as a concession for persons who will eat animal food at any cost. It is known to everyone that one man's food is another man's poison. Human beings are expected to accept the remnants of food offered to Lord Sri Krishna. And the Lord accepts foodstuff from the categories of leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. Bhagavad Gita 9:26. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. As prescribed by Vedic scriptures, no animal food is offered to the Lord. Therefore, a human being is meant to eat a particular type of food. He should not imitate the animals to derive so-called vitamin value. Therefore, a person who has no discrimination in regard to eating is compared to a hog. And now, this situation regarding a very big subject matter regarding eating, because most people don't eat proper food, and because food is also requires a lot of effort to produce food, to grow food, and because we have created an artificial system of producing food, which is depleting the soil all over the world. So there's less good soil to grow good food. So people are, now the governments, they are planning to make food in the laboratory. Singapore. Yeah. It looks the same, even tastes the same, because they're very advanced. They're very advanced. They can produce, now they can produce food in laboratory. Which is, of course, Prabhupada explains that for every problem which is created by modern man, whatever solution he tries to bring further complicates the problem. It's a vicious circle. It must be like that because we are deviating. Those who are not following the plan. There's a plan, there's a system, scientific plan, scientific system created by Krishna. How to eat, what to eat, when to eat. But unfortunately, that is on a very mass scale that is not followed. The Prabhupada continues here. The camel. The camel is a kind of animal that takes pleasure in eating thorns. A person who wants to enjoy family life or the worldly life of so-called enjoyment is compared to a camel. Materialistic life is full of thorns, and so one should live only by the prescribed method of Vedic regulations, just to make the best use of a bad bargain. Life in the material world is maintained by sucking one's own blood. The central point of attraction for material enjoyment is sex life. To enjoy sex life is to suck one's own blood, and there is not much more to be explained in this connection. The camel also sucks its own blood while chewing thorny twigs. The thorns the camel eats cut the tongue of the camel, and so blood begins to flow within the camel's mouth. The thorns mixed with fresh blood create a taste for the foolish camel, and so he enjoys the thorn-eating business with false pleasure. Similarly, the great business magnates, industrialists, who work very hard to earn money by different ways and questionable means, eat the thorny results of their actions mixed with their own blood. Therefore, the Bhagavatam has situated these diseased fellows along with the camels. The Prabhupada is taking each of the animals mentioned here and showing how modern human beings are behaving or acting like these particular animals. Then he describes about the ass. The ass is an animal who is celebrated as the greatest fool, even amongst the animals. The ass works very hard and carries burdens of the maximum weight without making profit for itself. And there's it's rarely there in the Bhagavatam, but sometimes there's what is called asterisks. So further explanation being given here. Human life is meant for earning values. And this life is called arthadam. Nate vidu swarthagatam vishnum swartha swartha artha. This life is called arthadam, or that which can deliver values. Yeah. Artha. Artha usually means money. Dharma. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Yeah. Artha. And what is the greatest value of life? It is to return home back to Godhead, as indicated in the Bhagavad Gita 8:15. One's selfishness must be aimed at the point of going back to Godhead, our real self-interest. Yeah, is to go back home, back to Godhead. The ass does not know his self-interest, and it works very hard for others only. The person who works very hard for others only, forgetting his personal interests available in the human form of life, is compared to the ass. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, it is said, Asitim chaturas chaiva laksham stan jiva jatishu brahmad bhi purushai prapyam manushyam janma paryayat tadapya bhalatam jata tesam atma bhimaninam varakanam anasritya govinda sarana dvayam. The human life is so important that even the demigods in the higher planets sometimes aspire for a human body on this earth, because in the human body only can one easily go back to Godhead. In spite of having obtained such an important body, if one does not re-establish his lost eternal relation with Govinda, Lord Krishna, he is certainly a fool who has forgotten his self-interest. This human form of material body is obtained by a gradual process of evolution to one body after another in the cycle of 8,400,000 varieties of life. And a poor man, forgetting this importance for his own interest, involves himself in so many illusory engagements for uplifting the position of others as a leader of political emancipation and economic development. There is no harm in trying for political emancipation or economic development, but one should not forget the real aim of life. All such philanthropic activities must be dovetailed to returning to Godhead. One who does not know this is compared to the ass who works only for others without their or his own welfare in mind. The Prabhupada continues. The ass is generally engaged by the washerman, whose social position is not very respectable. And the special qualification of the ass is that it is very much accustomed to being kicked by the opposite sex. When the ass begs for sexual intercourse, he is kicked by the fair sex, yet he still follows the female for such sexual pleasure. A henpecked man is compared therefore to the ass. The general mass of people work very hard, especially in the age of Kali. In this age, the human being is actually engaged in the work of an ass, carrying heavy burdens and driving tela and rickshaws. The so-called advancement, God, we were in Rishikesh. We were in Rishikesh. You also, yeah. Recently, and we were going someplace, and there is, what is the name of that bridge?
Deva
Deva Prayag. There's that bridge, right? What is the name of that bridge? Anyways, the bridge, because connecting one side of the Ganga to the other side. And I've never seen this before. You know, Almira? Almira is a cabinet. In India they call Almira. Like big cabinet. You can lock, you could put your clothes, whatever. I have an Almira, but small one. The big Almira is like about 6 feet high, at least 5 feet. Very big and heavy. On the bridge, actually, we saw people there, they carry Almira on their head. Not on their head. They put some kind of rope and on their back. It's huge. And it's very, ordinary people cannot do this. And also we saw Matajis carrying bricks on their back also, with a strap on the head. Actually in Nepal, yes, in Nepal, because there are many hills. Nepal is, at the feet of the Himalaya mountains, many hills, mountains. So when you fly over Nepal, you can see the houses everywhere. And there's no roads, you have to walk. So people, they're very rugged, very strong, and they have to carry a big load. Again, same thing on their head and on their back like that. That's why here in India, in America, people, they carry a bucket of water by the hand. But in India, they carry on their head because that is more natural and more healthy actually for the body. Yes. So people work very, very hard. It's like people who graduate from university or get some kind of a degree. I met people, young people, to get a job, first of all, very difficult. As Prabhupada mentions, very often people will take a long time, will try even years to get some job. Then they finally get a job. They don't want to lose a job, so they will agree to any working condition. And people who hire them, they know that, especially there are new people, they have to work 10 hours, 12 hours. So naturally, this affects the mind, this affects the body, and people. I met a couple in Malaysia, and I'm sure it's not only. They were initiated devotees, and they asked me, Maharaj, can we speak to you? I said yes. They said, we're practicing Krishna consciousness. We have 2 children. Both of us, husband and wife, we're working every day 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 30 days a month, or 31. And that's besides traveling to work. And they were asking me, how can we chant for 16 rounds? You cannot chant. Yeah. So this is the kind of modern civilization that we have created. So last paragraph here. So Srimad-Bhagavatam's categorization of the common man without any spiritual enlightenment into the society of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses is not at all an exaggeration. The leaders of such ignorant masses of people may feel very proud of being adored by such a number of dogs and hogs, but that is not very flattering. The Bhagavatam openly declares that although a person may be a great leader of such dogs and hogs disguised as men, they're very strong statements by the Bhagavatam. And those statements naturally are repeated by those who are preaching the message of the Bhagavatam, just to kind of wake up people to the reality that most people are unfortunately wasting this valuable human form of life. So the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada continues here, openly declares that although a person may be a great leader of such dogs and hogs disguised as men, if he has no taste for being enlightened in the science of Krishna, such a leader is also an animal and nothing more. He may be designated as a powerful, strong animal or a big animal, but in the estimation of Srimad-Bhagavatam, he is neither given a place in the category of man. He is never given a place in the category of man on account of his atheistic temperament. Bhagavatam speaks of such persons as Dvipada Pashu, two-legged animals. Or in other words, such godless leaders of dogs and hog-like men are bigger animals with the qualities of animals in greater proportion. Therefore, a very sad situation, very disturbing situation, which should serve as an impetus for us to take more seriously this opportunity that we have, number one, to properly utilize this opportunity that we have, this human form of life, and secondly, to also endeavor to the best of our ability, in whatever way we can, to bring this message of the Bhagavatam to as many people, especially leaders, because so many people are following the blind, following the blind. The translation again, men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna that deliver from evils. True, not true? Very true. Prabhupada one time he said that actually one devotee was telling that if some of these leaders actually ever read some of the purports, or not only purports, the message of the Bhagavatam, they would stop. They would stop this movement because the message of the Bhagavatam, message of Bhagavad Gita, is that we should not work so hard like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. In other words, the modern civilization, especially factory working, or one devotee who just came a few days ago, for 6 years, he was working night shift. Because in India they have this system, in the world of computer. Here in India, when it is nighttime, in America it is daytime. So people in America who are they need some help from people from India, especially who are very, very good with computers. India is number one. Places like Bangalore and Hyderabad. So people in India have to stay up all night to work for the people in America. Actually, in Secunderabad, I met one person who had been doing this for the last 27 years. Means the whole life is, we are not, nighttime is meant for sleeping, not meant for working. Daytime is meant for working, not meant for sleeping. So we're doing things upside down. Then we wonder why people are upside down. People are working upside down, means everything becomes confused and unhealthy in so many ways. So what to do? Chant Hare Krishna.
Not necessarily.
Huh?
Sometimes, one time Prabhupada asked devotees, what is the key to develop better satsya, or how to preach better? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But devotees told that chant Hare
Right.
Krishna, but he told no, you have to use your brain also.
Yeah.
That means it's combined purity and utility.
Purity and
Utility.
utility.
So we have to combine these few things. Then it's
Yes. Yes. Prabhupada will say, Hare Krishna. He would often tell his disciples, you should tax your brain. You should think how to get this message, Bhagavatam message, to people who are totally covered by knowledge.
there is a situation that often I see that leaders sometimes leaders don't see that in their own area is going something
That's right.
strangely, but they see the other area, they can help other people to find the key elements to change and then get back to the balanced way. For example, just Shyamsundar Prabhu who visited Hungarian farm.
From
And-
UK.
Hmm?
From UK?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a very talented, very learned person
Yes.
about the agriculture.
Yes.
And he saw something which was not really correctly done and asked, why you're not doing like that? And they said, yes, that's perfect. And next day, they changed the system and it started to grow again. But in their place also, they feed the cows and the bulls not with the grass, but just a mixed fabric made, something
Yeah.
chemical and other. Something is natural, but something is chemical.
Okay.
And I would say that's why that they don't see that's not okay. They have to do something against that. Of course, maybe they do, but how they develop like that? That we speak about the natural life and we feed our cows not naturally. So how happens that? And how to not avoid it? Not avoid it. Like
Well,
you started here, nice place. How you will avoid that same
yeah.
things happen?
It's only based on purity. Purity is the force. That means one, the tendency is there because we're in Kali Yuga, and because we're in a material world, and especially in the difficult period of Kali Yuga, where people are always trying to find shortcuts and not really understanding some of the basic principles. So Prabhupada emphasized, similar to what you're telling, when he was asking, I'm sure you heard, he was asking to Giriraj Maharaj in Vrindavan in his last days how this movement will continue. Right? So it is by intelligence and by proper organization. So it's not simply by some mechanical chanting or mechanical serving. Chanting is essential, serving also, but we should be basically be having these two qualities. Intelligence is a quality, especially the quality of a brahmana, and organization is the quality of a kshatriya. So these two aspects for any project, these two dimensions need to be present, and therefore there needs to be responsible, qualified leaders. Both are leadership position. So the more one is following the recommended system in terms of regularly hearing from Shastra and then the chances that things will remain more bona fide or more pure are better. But if we neglect those basic principles, then things will tend to. Yes.
Yes.
Jai Jantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Jai Sri Prabhupada ki
Jai.